So again, very interesting to look at tools as ideas. Let's look at a second golden nugget quote from these first two chapters of Dr. Postman's book. Beginning in the 14th century, the clock made us into timekeepers and then time savers and now time servers. In the process, we have learned irreverence towards the sun and the seasons. For in a world made up of seconds and minutes, the authority of nature is superseded. With the invention of the clock, eternity ceased to serve as the measure and focus of human events. And I find this golden nugget quote also very worth the time to unpack, to think about. The clock was a revolutionary invention, and it changed humanity's relationship to time. This quote suggests to us that prior to the invention of the mechanical clock, prior to the idea of time as seconds, minutes, hours, these measurable units in this repeating cycle, kind of a mathematical idea of time. Prior to that, time was embedded, was bound in nature, in the rising and setting of the sun, the moon. And so people in a pre-clock era had a naturalistic kind of conception of time. But with the invention of the clock, Dr. Postman seems to suggest that that worldview, that idea of time, was challenged, and it gave way to this idea of time being something, say, mathematical, technological, something that could be measured. And therefore, instead of time being an occasion for us to worship nature and to feel a connection to nature's objects like the sun and the moon and the passing of the seasons, instead, the clock turned us into keepers of time, because we could record and track time in very fine measurable units, and time savers. Since we could now measure time, we could figure out where we were wasting time and how we could save time. And then also time servers, says Dr. Postman, because in a sense, all of us are enslaved to the clock, to our schedules. And so these two nugget quotes really help us think about how tools are also powerful ideas. And Dr. Postman is going to apply all of these concepts as he begins to talk to us about how mediums of communication are ideas about reality and how they shape our thinking and create our culture. And he does that in chapters 4 and 6 by looking at the contrast between what was society like when the dominant mode of communication was the written word and the processes of reading and writing, in what he calls the age of exposition, the era of typography. And then contrasting that with what is our culture like now? What is our cognition, our thinking like when the medium that we're most steeped in is visual imagery, such as the motion picture, film, and particularly television. And we'll begin to see as we read those two chapters, chapter 4 and chapter 6, that to think about the world in terms of reading printed words on a page creates a different kind of mindset and perhaps culture too than does watching motion picture images on a television or a movie screen. So I hope again that you're enjoying your studies with Dr. Postman's book. Some of these ideas of his are complicated and abstract, and that's why we want to discuss them with each other. And so I hope you found this PowerPoint presentation and video helpful to you. And as always, please let me know if you have any questions, and rest assured that we will unravel all of these interesting and complicated ideas of Dr. Postman together. Okay then, thank you, and I will see you in the next video.